Over the last 3 months, I have been going across the world of Tyria, earning gold in maps that weren't designed for gold making in mind. Starting in the Wayfarer Foothills as a level 1 Norn warrior, going back and forth between Ascalon and the Shiver Peaks, I have reached level 80 while earning 250 gold and becoming golden in Guild Wars 2. And today, the next step of our journey takes us to the highest level Ascalon zone in the game, Fireheart Rise. And let me just say, this zone is so incredibly fun to play through. Starting off, I want to do what I always do and just complete the map while taking a brief look at a few potential farms that we can dive deeper into later on. As I progressed through this map, I kind of fell in love with it again. I've always enjoyed this map a decent amount, but I haven't played through it in quite some time. But returning here and experiencing the overall design of the map, the different events, all the different areas, and the various different pieces of content, I had a really good time in this map, and I also have high hopes for what we can get done here. But first, I want to briefly highlight one aspect of gold making in Guild Wars 2, which is gold gain boosts. When you kill different mobs and open certain bags, you can get a flat value of gold from those sources, which just goes straight into your wallet. While this is less than materials, it does still add up over time. And actually, you can find a ton of boosts in the game that can help increase your gold gain a tiny bit. Largely increasing the tiny amount of gold you're getting straight up by a small percentage isn't going to do too much, but keeping an eye out for banners that other players put down on the ground and some other boosts can be good to help us out a little bit as we make some gold. Another similar idea though is magic find boosts, which are a more notable mechanic. Just like the gold boosts, we can find a lot of different boosts in the game that will increase our magic find. And through having higher magic find, we can get higher quality loot from mob drops and various bags, which can definitely help us out. One source of increasing magic find is getting essences of luck from salvaging materials, which I have been doing as we progress through this series, and I am now at plus 47% boost. But there are a lot of other sources like banners that other players could put down, which can help us out, plus many others we can keep an eye out for. And just having a bunch of boosts on us will only ever be helpful. In fact, I have a couple of gathering and magic find boosts that we could potentially look at into the future, and maybe we'll do that when we get to a more boring lower level zone. But as far as this zone goes, it is so much fun. As I completed a couple of events, killed a variety of mobs, and got 100% map completion, I can return to a trading post and get my first total of the map. 6 gold, 24 silver, and 27 copper, plus some extra from vendor items. The Iron Marches from the last episode was above and beyond the most gold I have gotten from doing map completion in a map, and this map just stomped that one. Things are looking good. But before we dive into more unique gold farms, let's do what we always do and go across the entire map and harvest everything we can from various harvesting nodes and see how much gold we can get. I'm expecting this zone to be a little worse than the Iron Marches as we begin to hit the highest level of crafting ingredients, which tend to be a little less lucrative than some of the mid-range ones, as we're going to start getting some mithril ore and elder wood, but there's also quite a bit of platinum ore and hardwood available in this zone as well, plus a wide variety of plants, like a butternut squash garden, which isn't going to be a lot of gold for us. It took me about 38 minutes to go across the map and collect everything, and I'll just say that this wasn't my favorite map to gather harvesting nodes on, but it wasn't too bad. In total, I got 109 platinum ore, worth about 1 gold and 96 silver, 62 hardwood logs, worth about 1 gold and 6 silver, 27 mithril ore, worth about 7 silver, 24 elderwood logs, worth about 2.5 silver, 8 cayenne peppers, worth 22 silver, with a grand total of everything sold being 3 gold, 49 silver, and 88 copper, or about 5 gold and 53 silver per hour. Definitely not too bad. But moving on, there are many other farms we can look at, and of course I want to give a shout out to the MOAs in this map because there are a ton of them, and they drop the ever so lucrative slabs of poultry meat, which have climbed back up in value a fair bit since the launch of Visions of Eternity, but are still below their pre-expansion value. But as always, killing the MOAs in this map is going to be a fantastic way to make gold that we can utilize. Beyond that, I want to return to a similar idea from the last map and explore events once again. While the Iron Marches was an area that I haven't particularly enjoyed completing the events within in the past, the Fireheart Rise is different. I like this map and all the various events you can find in it quite a bit more than the Iron Marches. Additionally, there are many more events located in this map, which should hopefully allow us to spend more time completing events compared to running around and looking for them. And on top of all that, there are quite a few more event chains in this map compared to Iron Marches, which should hopefully help our cause even more. So, all in all, I have a good feeling about this map, so I spent the classic 30 minutes running around this map and trying to complete as many events as possible, and in the end I completed a grand total of 12 events, which is twice as much as I was able to do in the Iron Marches, and they were definitely much more fun. From the map bonus rewards that happened to be active when I did this, the biggest things I got were 3 shiny baubles worth 90 silver, as well as 2 destroyer lodestones selling for 2 gold and 13 silver. With everything together, both the trading post and the vendor items coming out to about 3 gold and 45 silver, or about 6 gold and 90 silver per hour. Now, let's move on to a very exciting farm that I have been waiting a long time for. Across many maps in Guild Wars 2, we can occasionally find a special type of item. Items that you can get from killing mobs and then trade in with a task NPC to progress the corresponding task, while also being an item you can sell to other players on the trading post. These items are pretty popular items because many people like to try to streamline world completion, so buying whatever you need on the trading post and then instantly completing a task is something that many players enjoy doing. But since there is a demand for these items, there is an opportunity for us to make gold, and across this entire series, we have now finally unlocked the first of these types of items, Barracuda meat. And the Highland Thaw area, which may I just say is an incredible area with the Shiver Peaks blending into Ascalon with a combination of Ascalonian ruins and nearby Dodgermore ruins, on top of there being a Codan settlement, we can find barracudas in the water underneath here. And killing a barracuda gives us a 100% chance to get 1 piece of barracuda meat. It is 1-to-1, 1 kill equals 1 piece of meat. Meaning while we may experience some diminishing returns in this area with other drops, we will be able to consistently get barracuda meat, and then it falls upon us to kill as many as we possibly can as fast as possible. So I spent 30 minutes swimming around here and killing as many barracudas as I could, and in the end I got 159 barracuda meat that sell for about 4 silver each through buy orders, with everything together coming out to a whopping 6 gold, 45 silver, and 92 copper, or about 12 gold and 92 silver per hour. Which means that we have finally done it. We have finally found a farm that is on par with slabs of poultry meat. Throughout the series so far, the best farm that we could do is just killing a bunch of moa as fast as possible, but this farm is officially roughly equal to the best moa farm we have found. But there is some more potential here, since the difference between buy orders and sell orders for most materials we have gathered in this series is only ever a couple of copper. I don't ever really care too much about listing sell orders, as I just want the gold now. But there is a pretty big difference between the buy order and sell orders for barracuda meat, a little over 2 silver of a difference, meaning that if you do a half-hour farm, list everything on the trading post, and then hope for the best, we should hopefully see a bigger return. So I returned to the Highland Thaw once again and spent another 30 minutes farming barracudas, and after 30 minutes I got 170 barracuda meat, which is even more than before. I definitely felt slightly more efficient with swimming around and killing these barracudas after more practice. But I can go ahead and list all 170 on the trading post for 6 silver and 75 copper each, which should hopefully give us significantly more gold than before. I just have to wait. And upon logging in the next day, I can head over to the trading post and, well, it was bad. Out of my 170 pieces of barracuda meat, only 10 pieces sold, and with everything combined, I ended up with 1 gold, 1 silver, and 92 copper. Looking at the barracuda meat, there are a couple hundred pieces being sold at prices cheaper than mine that potential buyers would have to purchase in order to get to mine, unless somebody decides they randomly want to buy mine that are more expensive. Now, I could wait a very long time and these pieces of barracuda meat would hypothetically sell. It could be tomorrow, or in a month, or maybe even in a year, but I think I'd rather just take the loss from the amount of gold I spent listing this and just so to buy orders so I can move on. And to move on, I want to spend a little bit of time looking at a farm that I don't think is going to do super well, but I feel the need to try. Historically, through Ascalon maps, the Flame Legion haven't really offered us any super good drops that we can sell. But with Fireheart Rise being the highest level map in Ascalon, with the highest level Flame Legion that we can kill in Central Tyria, I wanted to spend half an hour going around the Flame Legion areas and just kill as many as I can in this time frame. Additionally, I want to point out the Citadel of Flame dungeon. When I was exploring through the Plains of Ashford, I took an unsuccessful stab at the Ascalonian Catacombs dungeon, and upon talking about it in that video alongside reading everyone's comments, of which there were a variety of opinions, I've decided to stay out of dungeons in this series and focus purely on the open world content and not any piece of instance content attached to a zone. Outside of the personal story missions I can play through, of course, since I want to beat the core game through this series. But upon killing the Flame Legion for 30 minutes, I also completed 3 different events that happened around the area that I was killing Flame Legion, and those events involved killing the Flame Legion. Ultimately, the main drop were large ritual bags, but I unfortunately only got 19 of them, and they only sell for about 1 silver each. I also got 1 rare weapon drop selling for about 17 silver, and 2 vicious claws from event map bonus rewards selling for about 24 silver each. Altogether, my total is a low 93 silver and 7 copper, or about 1 gold and 86 silver an hour. I think this is the worst farm we've done yet, and just further proves the importance of identified wish mobs, have better loot tables, and to focus on those mobs. As such, as I approach my goal of earning 50 gold exclusively in Fireheart Rise, I want to spend some more time just killing a bunch of Moa and Barracudas. Moa are a classic mob, but I am really enjoying fighting the Barracudas just because they are so different than a lot of other mobs we have fought in this series thus far. I mean, this is all underwater content after all. Plus, it feels more consistent in shorter periods of farming where I can hop on and get some guaranteed Barracuda meat versus the 10 minutes of Moa farming where I get 5 slabs of poultry meat followed by an additional 10 minutes where I get none. But I can eventually return to a trading post to pick up the last little bit of gold that I need in order to reach the 50 gold earned threshold, bringing our total throughout this series to 300 gold. And to quickly look at some stats, I am mastery level 3 and need a bunch of mastery points to continue progressing, which will likely take quite some time to get, but I have also played for 61 hours and have died 21 times. And of course, it is now time to spin a wheel for a new map. Fireheart Rise doesn't offer us any new maps since we already have Frostgorge Sound available, but it does mean we now have 3 entrances to Frostgorge Sound, which doesn't really matter for us, but I find it a little funny. But continuing into Ascalon, we have the Blizzard Steppes. Continuing into the Shiver Peaks, we have the aforementioned Frostgorge Sound alongside Lornar's Pass, and then entering Kryda for the first time is the Gendaran Fields. We will obviously explore each map in Core Tyria at some point, but I think I am most interested in Gendaran Fields at this current point in time with my current headspace just because it is something completely different than Ascalon and the Shiver Peaks. And maybe second place going to Lornar's Pass, third to Blizzard Steppes, and fourth to the Frostgorge Sound. But of course, it all depends on what the wheel picks. And to Lornar's Pass we go. Not bad, not bad. It was my second pick. This is a massive map with so much stuff going on in it, and hopefully we will be able to find some interesting things in the map to dive into that will give us some gold. Additionally, through this map we will open up many different maps on our wheel, where we will now begin rolling for Dredgeon Cliffs, Timberline Falls, and Bloodtide Coast on top of our current existing ones. And of course, this map is connected to Lion's Arch, and we will unlock that city map for us to run around in and use the trading post there. All in all, next episode should be pretty exciting, and hopefully we find a bunch of fun stuff. See you then.